Thank you. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us on our global webcast here from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Pirelli World Challenge Championships, the weekend featuring the GT classes, GT, GTA, GT Cup, and coming up next, the GTS race, and it's a lone one this weekend. Right now, weather is quite nice out there. A bit of cloud cover, but big blue breaks, and everything looks good. Yesterday, however, a deluge at the end of the day ended up postponing until the season finale at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, the first of the two GTS races here. So qualifying that was set up for that first race now applies to the race that's about to unfold. So basically, Cal, we haven't had a lot of track time, and you only get one race here this weekend, but no pressure.
That's right. Everyone's anxious, walking through the paddock here this morning. Everyone wanted to get going yesterday. There was just too much rain. There was lightning in the area, so there was no other decision than to call it off and move that race to the final round of the championship. I think it'll be nice. It'll keep a doubleheader weekend for GTS, which should keep the championship open, which I expect anyway. As tight as this championship battle has been all year, I don't think anyone's going to have enough of a points lead. Right now we have a 35-point spread at the top with Sandberg finally out front, getting ahead of Lawson Archenbach, and he grabs those pole points, which is really significant because Scott Heckert got the pole, had it taken away because they plugged in with the telemetry during the session, which is not allowed. There's some kind of issue, and so those 7 points are really crucial with this championship so tight right now.
Yeah, hugely tight. And, of course, I have to make my spiel joining us here on the global web feed as we build our CBS Sports Network show. You're just sort of eavesdropping on the coverage, so we may be laying out on occasion. We may be quiet for a bit while we're talking to our producers, but we'll be with you as much as we possibly can. The one thing this has done is not having that first race. You don't have the rolling start, so we go right into a standing start, which will take place on the front straight. As always, 50 minutes of competition. You mentioned the issue with Heckert going to the back, and of course that was a big gift, as you talked about, for the points for Sandberg. But I think for a lot of people, us included, when we were watching the qualifying session, we were going, where is Dolomite? Because they had they really thought they had a package here, and suddenly a big issue, and Jeff talked about it. He's got work to do today.
He does. First lap out of the pits, he couldn't get a downshift done with the electronics on the steering wheel, so that's a devastating blow to that team. They really felt that car, they've really found their way with it, with the setup. It's come alive, and the car was working really well in practice on really old tires, so they thought they had a pole-winning car. Got a lot of work to do. You have to be patient. You've got to hope for a reset maybe with the yellow so they can get to the front.
And you can see the indication from our passenger and communicator in the Cadillac ATS-V pace car, 3 minutes to the start command here. And Jeff Leppard down on the grid, as always. He'll be for the track right now, working with John Phippen and the great crew here that are calling it for the track as we're doing the web and the TV broadcast. Again, there's a look at that sky. There is overcast. It's pretty comfortable out there right now, Cal, but a ton of rain yesterday, obviously. Then we've had Indy cars out this morning. So these competitors, they haven't had a chance to get out and run since all of this has unfolded. So they're dealing with some unknowns. Yeah,
it's a green track. I mean, we had a really heavy downpour here yesterday afternoon for a couple of hours, so it will wash the rubber off the track. But the Indy cars are out there. Conditions should be good. It's a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. But if you drop a wheel here, it is really wet in that grass. You're going to go for a ride. You have to be careful.
And how close was qualifying? Well, top 8 covered by 0.7 of a second. In that top 8, 6 different types of cars and manufacturers. I think we're in for an absolutely fascinating race.
It is, because every weekend is how will the dynamic play out with this GT4 machinery and some of the GTS machines that continue to run in this championship. So it's been fun. I mean, there's a real ebb and flow to the races. There'll be some cars a little bit strong down the straightaways, the lighter weight cars through the corners. Then there's the tire degradation issue, who can hang on to their pace for 50 minutes. And so there'll be some closing of those gaps as we see this race unfold here today. And certainly for our championship leader, Sandberg, getting that pole, getting a good launch will be critical. He doesn't want Archenbach to get around him here on the run up to the keyhole. Yeah, that's just mega. And the interesting thing is the other issue is simply track data and knowledge. You've got, having lost that race yesterday, these teams, a lot of the GT4 teams that are coming in here, have very little experience, if any, on this track. They lose all of that additional time.
for Lawson Aschenbach and Black Dog in that big book, obviously, and for Roush as well. Those cars, they've got some experience.
They do, and that will be important in terms of, the long run, the long green flag run. But, it's the same for everyone right now with the rest of the field. They have an advantage in terms of the long green flag run should help the GT4 machinery. Typically, it's a little bit lighter and easier on the tires. So we'll see how it plays out. It's always fun. You never know what to expect, and that's what this championship has been about this year.
Yeah, it has been an absolutely great surprise. We have been loving enjoying it. So we're going to pause for a sec. When we come back, we will be working on our CBS Sports Network coverage. And again, you might hear us repeat things on occasion. We hope you understand. And the engines come to life on this extremely diverse, close GTS field for the Pirelli World Challenge here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Grand Prix, presented by Honda Racing and Honda Performance Development. And there is a look at the front of the grid at that stunning Cadillac AT-SV pace car. Great partner for us, of course. And behind it, a field that is absolutely as close as you can imagine here. We talked about it, the top 8 covered by 0.7 of a second, 6 different manufacturers, and they're making their way out, starting the installation lap, because this, of course, will be a standing start. And as we watch this field roll off, again, Sandberg, Cal, tremendous opportunity here, but standing starts, kind of new for this GT4 field.
It is, but they've all been getting off the grid pretty cleanly, which is amazing. Actually, I expected more problems for some of this new machinery with the launch off the standing starts, but it's been pretty clean all season long. Those bonus points for the pole were critical for Sandberg, spreading that gap from 35 up to 42, but most importantly, he's got the track position. If he gets away cleanly, can get through the keyhole turn with the lead, then it's going to be a long day for Lawson Aschenbach behind him.
I think so, but Lawson can get those standing starts. He's going to be the one that eyes will be on for the standing start when we come back to Mid-Ohio. Don't go anywhere. Okay. And also courtesy of our partner at Cadillac, there is a look at the Cadillac Escalade, the safety vehicle with the Pirelli World Challenge safety team on board. Again, a big thanks to Cadillac. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio, everybody, as we are set to go here with our championship for the GTS category, the field making their way around at the completion of the installation lap. Cal, I think that was a crucial installation lap because of the loss of time and all the rain. It's a green track. This is their only opportunity to kind of go, okay, where do I have grip?
Yeah, just to have a little feel, but with no real tire temperatures, really hard to
Exactly.
make a true determination. It's going to be all about these opening laps to get a true feel for the car.
So, boy, I'll tell you, they are under some pressure here as the pace car has made its way into the pit lane and the team's coming up to take their position here. Let's take a look at our Kia Quad Box featuring some of the onboard looks you're going to have from the fabulous Replay XD cameras. So lucky to have that kind of quality on board these machines. As you see the field starting to shape up, we always get a green flag at the back of the pack that indicates the grid is clear. Now, both of the safety vehicles have taken up position. And we are looking for this one getting underway. Again, 50 minutes of competition. And you can see there's a slight uphill run into turn one. And it is going to be crucial. And the two championship protagonists, first and third, one right behind the other on the grid. Should be fascinating to watch this unfold. And as always, keep an eye out for those lights. When those red lights go out, we go racing. 50 minutes here at the Mid-Ohio Grand Prix. And there we go. We are green. Oh, and a
Sandberg
bad
stalls.
start by Sandberg.
Didn't get off the grid. Oh, there's a touch there. Buford into the wall. Gets contact with Courtney.
Oh, boy. Carnage right off the launch. And as you said, a big problem for Sandberg, and Aschenbach able to sweep through. And it looked like both Courtney and Buford going for that same piece of track, Cal, contact, and a big hit for Buford.
Well, the initial problem was with our pole sitter, either stalled or had a very bad start. Tough to tell from the head-on camera position. Aschenbach jinked to the middle, and then Buford suddenly got turned.
That's a huge, huge incident for Buford. What a guy. I mean, 3 wins this year in 6 starts. You knew he was going to be a factor. And now it is done. But, Cal, let's go back and take another look at what unfolded. And as you said, Sandberg didn't move.
He did, and Aschenbach goes in. Buford had a bad start as well, so Courtney has to go to the outside. He's in the grass there. He's got nowhere to go. It's going to tighten up there. The road actually leads over to the right, the white line there. He ran out of space and just gets into the right rear corner of Jade Buford and turns him.
And here's the issue.
Both front row guys, slow starts. They didn't stall, but just very slow starts. Look at Courtney on the right. Then Buford probably doesn't realize he's over on his right flank. He's probably looking at Aschenbach at that stage of the game.
Well, and then a huge avoidance behind. Courtney is broken. You can see that contact point. So he is done and out. A huge shame after a tremendous run by him at Road America up into second. They really felt they've clicked on this car now and found some of the sweet spots. The other guy who had a tough start, Parker Chase, Cal, didn't move either, and he got swarmed and fell back. And so, you know, our points protagonists, Sandberg, Parker Chase, struggling off the line.
It's unbelievable. We didn't expect that. We just talked about the fact that this year the starts have been pretty clean, and then suddenly the front row just bogged down dramatically. Aschenbach had a nice start, and I think Jade Buford was looking at him coming through the middle, probably didn't realize that Courtney had to go to his right-hand side. There was a touch there, and that created the major issue.
So, you know, in qualifying, I guess it was Sandberg getting the gift with the problem for Heckert. At the start here, it's Aschenbach getting the gift and puts him up where he wants to be at this point. So we've got a Muck Daddy cleanup that is unfolding here at Mid-Ohio. So while that happens, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Who is that?
Well, folks, while we're in the break here, we are back with you here on the Global Webcast, and there's a shot at, I'm sure, an immensely frustrated Jeff Courtney for a couple of reasons. One, Kenda, one of his big sponsors, locally based. They have a great contingent here. And Jeff had a great qualifying run. As we talked about, the car was really unsung. He thought he was in for a good result here. And, you know, they lose the race yesterday, so they don't get that opportunity. And then today, out right at the start. I mean, it's gutting.
Yeah, I just spoke to him about an hour or so ago, and he was pretty pumped up. He said, we're really starting to find our way with the car. They got the car very late before the first round at Coda, and he said, I thought we could really make a championship charger this year. The car was not developed enough, but he said, we've found the right damper. Suspension set up with the car now is really performing well. He was actually, we were pumped up about his podium run at Road America. He was somewhat disappointed. He thought I was good. He said, we tested there. He said, I thought I had a victory potential there. But coming here, strong qualifying run. He actually parked the car, got out of the car, and the team said, you just got bumped down to 10th. So he went back out there and dug deep and found he qualified in the 4th position, just on the outside of the 2nd row.
Well, and it's understandable. I mean, he basically ran out of time, was what he did at Mid-Ohio. Once he got through into 2nd, he did close it up. He just didn't have enough laps left.
That's right. That's right. He had to clear the traffic, and once he did, he was the fastest man on the racetrack for the final few laps. So a little shake-up here at the front. Martin Barkey continues to impress. He's had some podium runs of late, and he sits there in the 2nd spot. Sandberg, not too bad. I'm sure he's 4th or 5th in line right now, but he may have dodged a big bullet there.
Yeah,
you see him in 4th position.
Yep, sits in 4th. Jack Roush, an opportunity up into the 5th spot. But, yeah, Martin Barkey has shown some speed. And, in fact, he's sort of been a motivating factor to his team principal and team mate, Anthony Mantella, who said, well, Martin goes out and shows the speed in these cars, and I realize it's there. I've just got to find it. And then you see the teammate Mantella come alive as well. So it's been a motivating factor. There's Harry Gottsacker. When Parker Chase just slowly got away, Harry made a dynamite start and snuck around him and a couple others as well. So he is the fastest of the Ginettas right now. But third in points, that qualified well, has slipped back to ninth. Leading in the points is fourth. Second in points is first. I mean, this one has been turned on its ear just a little bit. And Nate Stacy is third, and that kid is fast, and he's fun to watch.
He is fun to watch. He's got great car control. But he's tempering that enthusiasm a little bit. He recognizes with these 50 minutes race, you've got to really manage those tires. So driving it sideways in the early going just hurts you later in the going.
But it does make the back end of the car a little wider if you need to be very defensive. So that's always a positive if that's what you need.
Everyone just sits there and goes, whoa, I don't want any part of that.
So, again, with the caution flag here, and it's going to be a bit of a cleanup here. This is, the downside is with just the way it's unfolding is it's just a few more laps being lost that they really needed to be able to get some knowledge here. And, again, I think this all plays into the strengths of the teams that have those accomplished drivers that have a lot of experience. Certainly Lawson Aschenbach and that team with 4 championships. For Lawson and the team, I don't think has lost a championship in this category since 2013 or 2012. They won it in 2013. But you know what? Even though Sandberg doesn't have a championship, he's got a lot of experience too. So let's not discount that.
He's no rookie. No. He's very accomplished and a great driver. Has a lot of speed, and he's got a lot of savvy too. He's learning the game in terms of how do I now go from a race winner to a championship winner.
So it's Aschenbach, Barkey, Nate Stacy, your top 3, Sandberg and Jack Roush, the KTM Crossbow, and the Mustang, 4th and 5th. Gaples with that issue up into 6th. For Scott Dullahite, who had rolled off the line essentially outside of the top 10, he sits right now in 7th, so he may be able to do something yet.
Yeah, I was talking to his dad this morning and said, we'll get a good start, be patient, and then wait for a reset. Well, the resets happened a lot earlier than any of us anticipated. So he's in a strong position, got a very fast car. They really felt that the lap times they did in practice by throwing new rubber on, they were going to be in great shape in qualifying. Unfortunately, had the electronics issue with the shifting on the steering wheel system and didn't set a representative lap time. But they felt they had a car for the pole. They were that confident. Guys here just trying to keep those tires clean. Even though they haven't generated true tire temperature yet, you can still pick up some of the marbles that are around this racetrack from the IndyCar session just before us. Just trying to keep the tires nice and clean, get ready for this restart.
So the field continues its way around, and we just have not heard anything yet as to how quick this cleanup will be able to be completed, which has obviously some implications. But the clock continues to run, and so this just becomes even more and more and more of a true sprint as this unfolds.
Will add to the intensity.
Oh, boy, won't it? And it's going to be fierce.
But it's good news for Aschenbach. He's got the lead. The championship leader's 3 positions behind him. Going to have less of a green flag run on his tires, so it's all coming Lawson's way at the moment.
Yeah, he was one of the few guys in the field that had said we would have really liked to have been able to go and race in the rain because that really helps us out. So, yeah, this is playing in it. We're getting a report we may be going green this time by. Yep, confirmation from race control. So we're going to pause and we'll come back with our CBS Sports coverage. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. The lights out on the Cadillac ATS-V pace car. We are going back to green after the standing start incident. Lawson Aschenbach leading the field through the infamous carousel and onto the front straight into our VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. He's there. He wastes no time. But, boy, Martin Barkey read it beautifully, Cal.
He did. Barkey was right there, straightened off that entry to the carousel exit there and got a good launch onto this front straightaway. Sandberg there in the 4th position trying to settle in. Gaples, what a great start once again. He's up to 6.
And there's Heckert, who had qualified on the pole in that number 54 Red Sin, already up a couple of spots. And you can see Barkey into the keyhole, had to defend a little bit on Stacy. That's going to play right into Aschenbach's
And that was one of those moves that the stewards don't particularly care for. You're reacting to the guys attempting to make a move. You're allowed one move, but they like to see it made early. Like right there, he's picked the right-hand side of the road. Stacy got a run on him now, got a little bit more air restrictor this weekend on that Mustang engine, and clears him nicely as they get down towards our stop-tech brake zone.
Yeah, straight line speed certainly for those V8s is good, and a change there is Roush getting around Sandberg, so big change there. If you're wondering which car is Roush in, well, he's running a white Mustang here this weekend, not his traditional red one, the number 60 entry.
Yeah, he had a couple of big incidents at Road America. This is essentially the backup car, which also got injured. He didn't actually see any action there at Road America, but big power moves by the Mustangs in the early going, and that's the dynamic of the class right now. You've got cars like right there, you can see Sandberg can roll a lot more speed through that corner, but the Mustang has the power once they accelerate off.
Yep, that's been the balancing act with cars that make their speed in very different parts of the track. And Dullahite now, right there. He's got Tony Gaples right in front of him. Tony, this is a track Tony traditionally goes very, very well on, and he's doing it once again here, sitting in the 6th spot. He had a 6th place finish here last year. And again, you've got Dullahite now trying to get by a car that's got a lot of low-end torque and straight-line speed. It's a struggle.
It is. You just got to be patient, wait for the opportunity. But a great start by Tony Gaples, and this is some strong pace by him as well. Obviously, his teammate Lawson Aschenbach is stretching the lead up front. Sandberg jinking around there, now tucked back to the inside. Dullahite sits there in that 7th position. The two Ginettas, Gottsacker over Parker Chase right now as they come off the keyhole and down that back straightaway.
And you see that and hear that beautiful white Mustang as he now pops out. Going to try and make an outside move on Martin Barkey. He's got to clear him here because in the braking zone, Barkey in that crossbow, a little lighter, but Jack using some racecraft and experience. You can do that here, and he ramps the outside, and Sandberg comes with him.
He tries to go with him. Is he going to clear? Yes, I think he just gets around Barkey before they get down at the brake zone there. So that's what our stop-tech brake zone is all about. You can make the move to the inside. If someone protects, you can make the outside runner through turn 4 and make it stick by turn 5. Great stuff by Jack Roush Jr.
And Dullahite cleared Gaples, so he now is right on the back of Martin Barkey. But I was talking about Jack Roush because he is our Optima Battery's best standing start winner, making up the most spots on that opening lap from the standing start. So congratulations to Jack and having a mighty fine race as well. Now let's see Dullahite in that black and gold Lotus just onto the front. Got a bit of curb there, bounced that car up.
Spin.
A big spin by Mark Clennon.
Just loses it coming there on the front straightaway through turn 13.
Cal.
Yeah. He had that issue before this year with that rear suspension. So I'm not sure if it had any argy-bargy early in the race that may have created that. Don't see any bodywork rub in terms of any other contact with a competitor.
No.
It's like the suspension may have just failed there in the right rear corner.
No, we've seen a couple people clouding curbs pretty hard, but let's see. Got a replay coming, see if we can pick anything out. He's
Look in the back of the picture. Just going to appear right there as he loads up, turns left. Little moment there.
Yeah, it broke.
Yes. Remember at Road America, I think he had a similar problem, didn't he, Greg?
He did, absolutely.
Off at turn 5, had a weird, strange sort of tank slapper there.
Yeah, we thought that may have been curb-induced and everything, but he wasn't on a curb here. So some sort of an issue. But anyway, he is parked in the gravel. And it looks like we are going to be back under a full course caution here. So while this Mug Daddy cleanup continues, we're going to step away quickly, but we'll be back with more for GTS Racing at Pirelli World Challenge at Mid-Ohio. So Mike Ward Maserati, Premier Copier, Champ, Mark Clennon, who has shown some very, very good speed this season, but just hasn't had the luck and or reliability on occasion, and it's cost him as it has here. And the frustrating thing here, Cal, will be for Lawson Aschenbach. He'd made a pretty nice little escape, and Stacy had gone into second and kind of gone with him, and they'd gapped everybody. But now you've got, this is an interesting development, isn't it? You got 3 of the V8 machines, the Detroit Iron running 1, 2, 3 at this stage. And then you've got a couple of crossbows, and then Dullahite. And I don't think we've heard the last from Dullahite yet in this one.
No, I think he's got a lot of potential speed to unleash there once he clears some traffic, because Oschenbach and Nate Stacey's best lap times are way ahead of the competition as they've been in that pack racing.
The only problem is for the guys that are outside of the top 3-4 spots are running out of time because the clock continues to tick away, and the ability to be able to go after it here is changing. I mean, we're 15 minutes into this 50-minute race already, and you can see the EV crew there looking at the back of the car and going, there's no way we can just tow them out, which means now they're going to have to get a tilt bed over there, and that's going to expand the time of this cleanup just a little bit. Boy, it's just been a tough weekend for the GTS guys, having one race canceled or postponed, more accurately, for weather, and now this.
It's extremely frustrating. There's so much preparation and work that goes into getting here logistically and getting the cars prepped and everything. So to lose one race and then have this one scuppered by caution is not what you're looking for. But again, it's a championship. You just got to think of the big picture. Make sure you're focused when we do get back to green. Fast lap time of the day so far goes to Nate Stacey at 129.7. The 10th off of that mark is our leader, Lawson Oschenbach, but everyone else in the 32s. So that's why that big gap was established at the front, because everyone else was battling for track position, and the two leaders just took off.
Well, and that's one of the things. Those cars are heavier. One, they get a little bit of heat in the tires faster, which is a big component of it. But again, that experience.
Yes, it is big, and you talked about it before the off in terms of them having the notes to, you know, again, you can set up the car differently, whether it's set up for the long run or you want that tire to come alive in terms of the tire pressure that you start the car with.
Right.
You run a little bit higher, it's going to come to life a little bit sooner, create more energy, yet on the long run it's going to hurt you, but track position is so critical here. Maybe you play that gamble out.
I think that's a very good point, is you may have to just take that risk. And obviously, with more and more laps under caution, it gives them the ability to be a little bit more aggressive on those tires. With a shorter distance, they're going to have to really hammer.
We talked about the start being so important for Sandberg. He did not get the start. He did not get the track position. It is going to be tough road ahead of him with Oschenbach and the two Mustangs showing a little bit more straightaway speed than the Crossbows here. That is somewhat expected. But certainly the Mustangs, with that little balance of performance adjustments since the last round of the championship, do look tough here today, which is good. They've had a tough season, really. They've not been getting the results they typically get, but they've been very patient, led by Dean Martin and that whole crew there. Have done a great job just staying patient, waiting for their day, recognizing the series as a big challenge with all of these various new brands and manufacturers involved in the championship this season.
Yeah, and when they've gone to an event and had a fairly clean event, it's been successful, like St. Pete, where Jack swept the weekend. So, as you said, it's a team that's got some great credentials, but every once in a while you just have one of those seasons where things don't really click sometimes, and I think it's their year.
Yes. And when we looked at the championship this year, Greg, so many cars coming on board. But when we looked at returning drivers, Jack Roush Jr. was the only returning driver at the top 10 in points from 2015. So you thought, well, this could be a great opportunity for him with his experience. But as you said, it just hasn't been this season.
Now we're getting a little communication from race control down to the crew for Lawson Oschenbach saying on the restart, you know, there is the VP acceleration zone, but there's a speed limit before you get to it. And apparently Lawson was getting a bit antsy. And they said, just make sure you maintain that pace car speed until it goes. And we're getting some more communication from race control, just telling the teams that as they come onto the front straight, obviously now they've got some heavy EV equipment down there trying to extract Clennon's car. And that's one of the great things, you know, with the advent of radios and at this level, is that race control can almost talk directly to the drivers sometimes and say, be aware of this. That's huge. Yeah,
the messaging system really works well. And just keeping the drivers abreast of it's easy. I mean, you think, oh, I've seen that car out there. There's going to be a safety vehicle out there shortly. But you're so focused on what you're doing, what the car's feeling like, maybe making some subtle adjustments from the cockpit, talking to your own crew. You suddenly come around, it's like, oh, boy, I forgot there's going to be some safety vehicles out there. So the more information you can get in these type of scenarios, definitely the better.
It looks like they've got the Maserati on the hook. It's just a matter of now getting it up onto that flatbed, and that process has started. Unfortunately, it's not something you can just do super quick, so I'm guessing we're probably going to have at least a couple more laps under caution here.
Just over 30 minutes to go in this race. And as we said before, it's really playing into Lawson's hands in terms of the long green flag run that he was worried about with the weight of the Camaro and the tire degradation that you will get. The Pirelli P0s do an awesome job, but there's a limit to what they can take. And if you're overloading them for 50 minutes, obviously the ultimate performance will go away just a little bit.
And as much as Lawson, Nate, and Jack are grinning at the prospect of the tire deg becoming minimized here, Sandberg, Barkey, Dullahite, all those guys that wanted long green flag runs are just going to be frustrated beyond belief because that's when their cars tend to come alive, and that whole formula is kind of turned on its ear here.
It is. Yeah, it's a big advantage for the heavier cars right now, the way the race is unfolding. It's a big disadvantage for the lightweight cars. And looking at the point spread as they run right now with Sandberg in the 4th position, it would be a 36-point swing if the positions remain the same. And he came in here with a 42-point lead. So it would be super tight by the end of the day, 6 points possibly. But a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And now, at the end of the season at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, it was going to be one race. So you knew coming into that race where you sat in terms of everything. Now it's going to be a doubleheader at this stage. So this event here this weekend, how it's playing out, is going to have implications, not just in the points championship, as it always would, but an interesting wrinkle at the season finale as well. And there you see, that's the good news. They've got the Maserati on the back of the tilt bed, and we just got word from race control, one more lap. So green next time by, Cal. We should have, something on the order of probably 27 minutes.
And this is where you just get a hold of those seat belts and give them an extra little tug, make sure everything's tight, get ready to go, get focused, try and get these tires cleaned off. You're not really generating much tire temperature by weaving around. You do that more through the brake pedal, as we mentioned at all of these races when we see a caution. It's really just keeping those tires clean by weaving. If you run that, you basically use both feet. You run the gas pedal and left foot brake to just generate tire temp. That brake temp, that then goes through the wheel, through the upright and into the tire. So that's how you can generate a little bit of tire temp to help you out when you hit that first corner after a restart.
All right, folks, we're going to pause here on the Global Webcast. We'll be back in just a couple seconds with our CBS Sports Network call. And welcome back to Mid-Ohio, everybody. We are anticipating going green this time by. While we have a second, want to remind you, if you want to be up to date on what's going on with the Pirelli World Challenge in between the events, well, just check it in and check it out through social media. First place to go, Pirelli World Challenge at world-challenge.com. Great video content, including links to live broadcasts of the races. You can also, of course, go to Facebook. Just search the Pirelli World Challenge fan page, or on Twitter, just look for the handle at WC Racing. And as always, for all things racing, just take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand. It includes the archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races, and you can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. And I think as I was saying that, we saw the lights go out on the pace car, so we are indeed going to be going back to green as the Cadillac ATS-V will make its move into the pits. This time Lawson maintaining that speed. That's the tricky part. The pace car will then accelerate away, and you've got to hold that speed. Now in the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, he went after it, and Nate Stacy going right with him. That was actually a pretty good restart across the board, it looked like, Cal. And Sandberg looks to the inside.
Yeah, he looked to the inside, but Jack just out-accelerated him there till turn one, so he couldn't quite tuck it to the inside and make that move stick. Going to be curious to see how Nate Stacy, how aggressive he is here on this initial lap, but maybe his opportunity to get to the front and try and hang on as they stack up into the keyhole.
Oh, and right there, Dullahite had a big move to try and shut the door on Gaples. He didn't want to let that big V8 get in front of him, and he was able to hold on. Now he's got to hold him off, though, on this long run. He's looking to get a little help from Martin Barkey in terms of a tow.
Here comes Dullahite. Dullahite does have a run on Barkey. Does Barkey leave the inside lane open as Stacy continues to put the pressure on our leader, Lawson Archenbach, as they dive through turn 4 and up into turn 5?
Wow, a 4-time champion, and right behind him is a 16-year-old still with 3 years of World Challenge experience. And it's going to be fun to see how that plays out between these two. But as you said, you've got that battle behind as well. And look at Dullahite all over Barkey.
Yeah, I think he's got a slightly quicker car. He can really roll some speed through the apex there. Tony Gables looks to the inside of turn 9. Not quite close enough to make a move. There's a tough one anyway to try and slide down there. You're not really slowing the car very much there. So you've got to make a big move and be very late on the brakes to make it stick.
So the top two again have gapped it a little bit. Roush there in third with Sandberg. And look at that, an over-under move, I thought, by Dullahide. I thought he had set it up, and now look at Harry Gottsacker, the young man, trying to make a move on Gaples onto the front straight. Couldn't quite get it done. Slowed him up, and here comes Parker Chase and Heckert.
Heckert, as we know, had speed. He had the pole winning speed here yesterday. Unfortunately, had that infraction for plugging in with the data and the electronics during the session. That is not allowed, so he lost the pole speed. We've seen the patience of that young man this year. Remember at Road America, very late in the going, finally worked his way up to a podium spot. He's going to have to really dig deep to make that happen today, but the Sinner's got speed and he's got the patience, it seems like.
Yeah, they've got the balance right. The series has, but that Sin, it is a very effective package as well as being a great little car. Here comes Dullahide now. Got the outside on Barkey. It's just a matter of whether he can make it work down into Madness.
Into the stop-tech brake zone. Barkey takes it in a little bit deeper, which takes away the outside move. You've got to really brake with him. Now Dullahide switches to the outside. He's going to have the inside. He gets a touch. Tried to tuck it in there. Two tight quarters there. Barkey and Dullahide trade some paint. Here comes Heckert. He's going to make a move on the Lotus as well.
Yeah, Gaples already through. Now Dullahide coming back onto the inside of Heckert. And realize
nice move there by Heckert. He rolls some speed in, but he's wide. Loses the grip there. Just took a lot of rolling speed through the apex. Couldn't quite keep the grip with him. But he's finally made the move.
Ooh, for a second there, Gottsacker was almost going to try and run up the inside of Dullahide in the best place of the two Ginettas. That's the silver Ginetta with the orange stripe. Third in points, Parker right behind him. You wonder if there's going to be a moment when Harry just leaves the door open a little bit.
This is the battle for the third position right now. You can see the two leaders have taken off once again. I think Sandberg has a bit more lap time, but he's got it in the wrong places right now over Jack Roush Jr. Look at this pack. Here comes Heckert to the inside of Tony Gables as they get on the brakes really late there for the keyhole. Tony just takes it in deep enough. Nice job. Hangs on to that position.
Boy, and that may have helped Dullahide out because Heckert had to breathe it through the keyhole for a second, and Dullahide was able to get a little bit of a run, but I think he maybe ran up a little too quick, Cal, and got parked. We'll see if he can do something down into the stop-tech braking zone into the S's.
Here comes Gables. He looks to the inside. Barkey just closes the door. All good, clean stuff. But Heckert now gets a run on Tony Gables. Looks to the inside. Tony shuts the door. Great battling here in the middle of the field.
It's this great diversity that is so fun to watch. All these cars, different platforms, different engine placements. Just a fascinating study.
Jason Alexandrida's doing a great job. Had an ABS issue on his primary car in practice the other day. Had the ABS system fail, hit the wall pretty hard there to switch to the backup, so he's having a nice clean run here this afternoon, just in front of Anthony Mantello, done a great job in qualifying in that Gulf liveried crossbow at the back of the field right now.
I think that's a good point on Jason, because the team, he and Derek DeBoer are going for a team championship, and after splitting events at each race, they said we're not getting enough track time, so let's look at the rest of the schedule. Which tracks are we already familiar with that we're good at, and max out. DeBoer went on to win at Road America, the track he knows. As again, Sandberg looks, Barkey off.
Runs wide. Heckert to the inside now of Tony Gables, who again, that Sinners makes some moves here later in the race, just as he did at Road America. Gables is looking really racy here today.
And those Camaros are great on the brakes. That's been one of their strong suits for years, and boy, Tony is using it to his advantage. But now, Heckert alongside.
I didn't expect to see this.
Yeah.
Heckert's showing a bit more straightaway speed than that Camaro, so I'm not sure if Tony's got an issue with the power down these straightaways.
Boy, Tony rolls some speed there, doesn't he? Up, exiting that part of the S's, now up and over the top, heading into the section they call Madness, and Dullahide absolutely frantic right now to find a way by Gaples.
Yeah, time is running out for a very fast car in this field, but Heckert now has done a great job. He's now up to the fifth position with Barkey's off.
So the battling back in the pack continues. Up front, it's still Aschenbach leading by just a tick over a second from Nate Stacey. They've got a few more seconds in hand. back to Jack Roush Jr. in third, but behind them, it is a great scrap that is unfolding here at Mid-Ohio. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And back with you here on the Global Webcast. Going to have a few moments pause here on our CBS Sports Network coverage. And, Jason Alexandrides, this is a track that he had a fair amount of experience on. And so he said, I like that idea. And he's showing it right here, having a nice, solid run.
Yeah, it's a great run. He's starting to feel the pressure now from Anthony Mantella. To a Mantella Autosport Crossbows. Deeper in the field than we expected. They qualified so well, but the race hasn't gone their way. At this point in time, Mantella was stymied on that first lap with all of the carnage at the start as well. He was affected. Bucky was not. He was up to second, but in the battle, he's kind of fallen back a little bit with that off in turn one, just one lap ago.
And Dullahide looked to the outside, coming down into the S's, and Tony protected, and Dullahide looked like he was going to do a counter move, couldn't quite get through. The problem is he's not just seeing Heckert ease away, he's seeing Roush and Sandberg third and fourth up the road by some 4 seconds now.
Yeah, he's got to clear Tony as quickly as he can, and maybe the tire degradation will be a factor here for Tony Gaples over the next 4 or 5 laps. And once Dullahide can clear him, maybe he can chase after that lead pack, but it's going to be tough with the time running down just past the 30-minute mark in this race, 20 to go.
Yeah, and Parker's shown the nose to Mr. Gottsacker a couple of times here, and Harry is not showing any willingness at this point to open the door up and let his teammate, who's third in the points right now, slide through, which is understandable. You're here to win races and do the best you can as well. Now, Sandberg looks late. Does he get it done? Not quite enough, Cal.
No, he can't quite get the move done, and that Mustang's a heavy car. You don't want any contact with that. It could damage your suspension. But certainly, as we anticipated, the lighter weight crossbow starting to come to form here.
You just almost get the feeling that he's going to have to try and surprise Jack somewhere and just stick it down the inside somewhere where he wouldn't expect that to be coming.
Jack's such a veteran. I mean, showed it with that double win this year in terms of what he can do, but it hasn't been the season he was looking for. But even so, he's very savvy, great racecraft, very clean. I mean, if you get it down to the inside, he's not going to take you out, but he's not going to give it to you as well.
You can see, I mean, Sandberg was at a pretty good deficit by the time they got into the brakes in our stop deck braking zone, and within a couple of corners, he was right on the back of Roush here. The problem is when you make your speed in the corner and you get caught behind somebody who doesn't maybe have that corner speed, but you have to run it, and he's got more torque coming out, that's where you're going to really find it frustrating. Boy, Sandberg's so close.
He really is tight. Looking at the fastest lap times of the day, the top 9 have all run laps within about 9/10 of one another. So even in race trim, forget qualifying yesterday where it was even tighter than that, but even in race trim, it is really close. Look at the wide entry that Sandberg takes there, just trying to roll speed through, see if he can get some acceleration on the run up to turn 2.
Here's a look. Roush sits in third, the white and black Mustang, Sandberg, and then you can see behind him Heckert. A little bit of a gap now. There he goes through, and then here's that 4-car battle now. Gaples, Dullahide, Gottsacker, and Chase for 6th.
And it's a good one. It really is a good battle there. Up front, Aschenbach continues to lead, but Stacy is not going away. Stacy actually has a faster lap time than Lawson Aschenbach, a 29.2 to a 29.3 for Lawson Aschenbach. But right now, the fastest lap of the race is at 29.1, a 129.1 by Scott Heckert.
By the way, watch here. We were talking about Anthony Mantella, who seems to pick the pace up a little bit later in the race. Just got it a little wrong here, Cal, and it cost him a couple of spots.
It did. That's exactly what his teammate, Martin Bucky, who was right behind him, did about 4 or 5 laps ago. Just ran a little bit wide, got up on that curb, and you go for a bit of a rough ride there. But up front, look at this. Stacy is not going away. The Sandberg, our championship leader, continues to hound Jack Roush Jr. for 3rd.
Well, I'll tell you, Stacy has not let Aschenbach get away. The margin had been up over 1.3 seconds this time by. It had dropped to under a second. Now it's right back at about 1.1 at this point. And having a very good account of himself. Ooh, here we go, Dullahide. I mean, he's got to get creative, doesn't he?
Well, I think you've got to be decisive. He's getting into a position where it's a little bit of no man's land, you know what I mean? Because you make half an attempt and suddenly the guy in front doesn't know what you're quite going to do. But here comes Gottsacker. He's looking to make a move. He's like, if you're not going to make the move, I'm going to come through.
And I did talk to Dolehite earlier in the weekend. I asked him if he would be a little bit more evil here. He said, absolutely. I watched the show. I got the message. Some fun stuff. Okay, we're going to pause. We'll be right back with our CBS Sports Network call. Lawson Aschenbach up and over one of the great corners here at this wonderful track. Turn 9, the big elevation change right at the apex of the corner, chased by the 16-year-old Nate Stacy, having a great run, and Lawson in that Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro carries our iBox suspension cam. And this is one of those tracks, so many transitions here, Cal, and these bigger, the V8 cars, they have the ability to get up on those curves.
They do, very compliant, and if you can trim some of these corners here, cutting through the apexes, it will certainly work well, and using that exit curb on the turn 1 as you take the run up to turn 2. So they're the few hundredths of a second that you can gain if you get the iBox suspension working well for you. And certainly, as you mentioned, Greg, they have a great notebook to work from. The car's working well, and he's getting faster and faster now, dipping into the high 28 range, at 128.7 last time around. And that was a couple of tenths quicker than Nate Stacy's best of the day.
Yeah, the only other guy into the 28s other than Stacy, Heckert, at a 28.9. So that's another coulda, woulda, shoulda moment. We knew he had the speed. We knew Jade would be right on that pace as well. So, yeah, well, that's the nature of racing.
Oh, look at this.
Speaking of racing.
Finally, he's got the run. But Tony's been a demon on the brakes here as they get down to our stop-tech brake zone. How deep does he take that Camaro in, and can he hug the inside? Yes, he does. Can Gottsacker take advantage? Dolehite, he's made that outside move today, but he's got to be careful. He just closed the door there. Gets so focused on the car in front. You got the other one right here inside.
Yeah, boy, and
you're looking forward, you're looking back at the same time in these sort of battles.
And you think, all right, I've got the run, and then you know suddenly that guy's just going to turn across and park, and you've got to dip out of it here. Fun stuff to watch, frustrating sometimes to be in the middle of.
It is. It is, and he's getting frustrated because the clock is winding down, and he felt he had a car capable of winning here today, but Tony Gables has done an amazing job. I think this is his strongest performance of the season in hanging on to this 6th position right now.
Tony does love coming to Mid-Ohio. That team has excelled here, and certainly Tony has often put up his season best performances at this track. You know, Dolehite going late this time. Is he gonna? He's got the inside. Can he make it stick? Tony giving him room. Nice job by those two respecting each other.
Good, clean racing. Now Tony's got the inside lane, and he's also got fierce brakes. But look behind him, the Ginettas. Can they use him as a pick? They do. Gottsacker, nice job there. Great racecraft in really seeing that one develop and sliding to the inside and taking away that 7th spot.
And remember, Parker and the all-orange Ginetta comes in here 3rd in the point, so seeing that happen is not what he wanted. He wanted to be the one moving up, obviously. And now what can Dolehite do with a very young, quick Global Rallycross driver, Harry Gottsacker, in his windshield at this point. I'll get that right.
Gottsacker, you could see they're really setting him up. He took a very late turn into turn 4 to try and carry the speed through the middle of the corner. Just trying to work him over. He's now got a full view of that Camaro. He'd been watching it from a couple of places back. Now he's watching that rear bumper of Tony Gaples.
A little wiggle there by Gaples, as you would expect. Carrying that kind of speed and that weight up and over that sudden abrupt change of elevation right at the apex. Now what happens here?
Need to pull it over to the right to really get a good clean so you can open up your hands as you come onto that front straightaway. Meanwhile, up front, the gap has established itself just under the 2-second mark. But again, it seems like the ebb and flow is 2 tenths either way. That lap, Nate Stacy dips into the high 28s himself. He was 2 tenths quicker than Aschenbach, so he's trimming it lap by lap, but Aschenbach seems to be in control right now.
And then this battle, and it's a crucial one in terms of the points. Jack Roush hanging on to that 3rd spot, and Brett Sandberg, who points leader when this race started, finds himself back and forth. And you can see there, he's so close to him, and then every time they get onto either the pull from the keyhole into the S's or from the carousel up into one, you can see that margin just opens up enough that it keeps Sandberg at bay right now.
It does, and Sandberg's also dipping into the high 28 range, 128.8. Hackett was closing on him, so everyone's responding to the challenge right now. But again, I think Jack Roush Jr. is kind of creating a little bit of a roadblock in terms of the ultimate pace of that crossbow, and Hackett is coming. You can see him there. He's up to that 5th position. Can he clear these guys, get another podium run like he did at Road America?
He has been able to just be patient and pick the spots. You saw Roush there, car stepping out a little bit. So the tires now, with the weight of the Mustang, might be starting to feel the burn just a bit. So we're going to step away very quickly. When we come back, this one is just going to keep heating up as we're into our final few minutes. And as we're in our break for our CBS Sports show, and we were just having a chat with the producers, come back with you here, and as you called it, boy, Heckert is making up huge chunks of time on these guys up front right now, isn't he?
Yeah, that was a huge gap that he pulled in there, 5/6 tenths on that one lap alone. As I can see, you can see the language. Yeah, Sandberg looks to the inside.
Ooh.
Great job. He could see that red sin was coming. He had to make a move, and it was a good one. Surprised Jack Roush Jr. there a little bit. It's a tough move to make, but he's got the grip. Heckert, though, is showing pace as well, as Jack Roush Jr. is starting to fade just a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's just pushed it a little bit too hard, even with the shorter window here. You see that car starting to move around, Cal.
And look at the gap immediately.
Wow.
So Sandberg now able to display the potential lap time in that crossbow, and that will just add to the frustration, I think, in terms of seeing the gap to the two leaders just too big.
Yeah, right now it's about 7 seconds from Stacy in second.
Comes Heckert. He's got to run on Jack Roush Jr. as well as they go up to the keyhole.
All right, that settles for just a minute. So, Cal, let's go back and take a look at that great pass by Sandberg.
It was a great move. He just set him up there, and it was down into turn 9. Watch this. Just eats up a lot of curb there. Just doesn't hit the brake pedal just as soon as Jack Roush Jr. does, and just gets to the inside, slices it through. And Heckert there almost got a run as well, as Jack Roush was literally surprised.
Ooh, Heckert trying to get around the outside at the exit.
Oh, Jack Roush is in trouble. He's really starting to slide that car around. He's got great car control, but Heckert has a stronger car at this stage of the game.
And with the inside, closes the door and now picks up that 4th spot. So Jack Roush, he did everything he could, Cal. I mean, he fought the great battle, and you consider, in terms of where he qualified back in 10th, be able to run up into the top 3 for a large chunk of it. Pretty impressive stuff, but it just took its toll.
I want to see what the lap times here are for Sandberg compared to our leaders. So the leaders just crossed the stripe. They ran 129.0. See what Sandberg at 28.3, 7 tenths quicker than the leaders right now. But you can see the gap. The leaders are up into the keyhole as Sandberg is just exiting turn 1, even though he's got 7 tenths advantage per lap right now, it looks like. He's probably not going to have enough time to catch them.
All right, we're going to pause, and we'll be back for CBS Sports Network in just a sec. Welcome back. A big move, Harry Gottsacker. I mean, racing back in the pack is fierce. And young Harry Gottsacker getting down inside the number 11 of Tony Gaples and picking up a top 6 spot That young guy in the Ginetta is having a great run today.
That is an awesome drive. Just tremendous racecraft that he's displayed here today. Did a great job up into the keyhole on Scott Dollarhide, and he just made another mega move on Tony Gaples.
And as this one settles just a little bit, while we were in break, Cal, we had a great pass and a key pass, not just for the podium, but for points right here.
It was. Our championship leader finally makes a run there, down into the brake zone for turn 9. Doesn't hit the brake pedal as early as Jack Roush does. Surprises Jack. Jack runs wide, and look at that. Scott Hecker almost took advantage as well.
And Heckert has since also gone around Jack Roush and puts that red sin up into 4th. Roush now in 5th, and then Gottsacker in 6th. But here's the story. Brett Sandberg, Cal, since he got through and has clear track, is absolutely flying.
He is on fire right now. Both he and Hecker are running lap times 5, 6, 7 tenths faster than the leaders, but time is not on their side right now. Under 5 minutes to go.
And a fair amount of time to make up, although the margin not long ago, Cal, between Stacy and 3rd place was 7 seconds. It's now under 5. So it's closing, but as you said, these guys, especially Lasse Aschenbach, he knows how to win a race from the front, as
he does. He's doing everything right, and he's got a bit of a wingman there in Nate Stacey in case Sandberg gets any closer. But I think time is definitely on the leader's side right now. As we've seen so many times this season, Lawson Aschenbach, 3 wins on the year, and most of them have come through racecraft in terms of positioning the car, getting the early jump, and doing exactly what he's done here today.
Yep, they certainly understand big picture scenarios and what you have to do to be successful at the end of the race. It's not always about one lap speed. It's about making the tires, the brakes, every component on the car last. And he's the exceptional at it. But Nate Stacey had an impressive run today.
He's learning something here today. He'll be watching the attitude and how much Lawson is sliding his car. He's done a great job to hang so close. He's kept that gap within the 2-second mark. The car is underneath him. I think that little bit of balance of performance since the last round of the championship has helped the Mustangs and suddenly made them somewhat competitive again. Certainly podium run here today. Great stuff.
It's been a delight seeing his evolution this season. We always knew he had speed, but at the start of the year we were raving about his great car control, although it may not have been the fastest way to get around a racetrack. And now he's tamped that down, and he is just showing that he is a superb young racer.
You wouldn't think it was the same driver if you look at the body language of the car in terms of not sliding around, keeping the tire underneath. When you start to slide it, it's just going to generate heat. It's just going to go from a bad situation to even worse. As we see the battle now intensifying here. Now it's for the 7th spot. Dollarhide, can he make it stick? He looks to the outside, down into our stop tech brake zone. Tony's going to fight hard. Tony's now going to have the inside down the run, but he's not going to get the acceleration. Scott Dollarhide clears him.
He gets through, and you can see Parker Chase wanted to try and pounce on the opportunity, but had nowhere to go with it. One of the reasons is Martin Barkey, on his comeback drive, has glommed right back onto the rear deck of Parker.
Mantella hanging in there as well at the back of this pack. He's having a great run here today. Not the track position or race position he wanted, but certainly very competitive with his lap times once again.
So that move put Dollarhide now up into the 7th spot. And
looking at the speed of those Mantella cars, Barkey just ran a 28.1. The fastest time by Aschenbach, our leader, is a 28.7. So a question of what might have been for those crossbows here today, and Mantella in the same range. Oh, big move there by Markey. Gets into Chase. Chase is going to spin. He's going to hit the gravel trap.
Oh, boy.
Is he beached? Keeps it going.
Nicely done.
Will stay green.
Well, I think he learned his lesson from his visit in the gravel trap at Road America, was to keep that throttle pinned and don't let it auger in, and he did a great job with it. Huge, though, in cost in terms of position and thus points. We're looking at white flag we're hearing next time by. Ooh, and he's got a lot of gravel. He's dumping on the track. It's getting on that tire. And here comes Aschenbach looking at the white flag this time by. And by the way, Heckert, last lap, is it last lap? Yeah, turned at 128 flat. That's flying.
That is flying. So these lightweight cars seem to get quicker and quicker. And that's really a testimony to those Pirelli P0s, as well as the fuel weight starts to get burned off. The tire is performing and continuing to improve in terms of lap performance.
That's a key component, isn't it, as we watch the white flag fly over Aschenbach and Stacy. As the fuel burns off, if the tires are still there, the car just gets more and more responsive.
It does. And also, we've got to factor in, we had those heavy rains here yesterday. Yep. The track is starting to rubber in. There's more grip developing at the same time.
And it's more Pirelli grip down on the track, too. There's different compounds and manufacturers being run here by different series in terms of tires. And obviously, as you get more of your rubber down on the track, it really starts to come good for you. There's a look at Jack Roush, still in a position for a top 5, and I'm sure after the last couple of races, he'll be delighted with that. But boy, talk about delight. Aschenbach is going to make up a handful of points here. Although Sandberg, that great move up into third, that's exactly what he needed, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, he needed to minimize the damage after the initial start. He got lucky there. He didn't get collected with that slow start. But when you look at it, so many strong performances. Aschenbach obviously doing what he continues to do in terms of leading races, winning races, maybe another championship. Nate Stacey, great performance here today. Sandberg recovering well. Scott Heckert showing pace again. Harry Gottsack, a great race performance. And Scott Dollarhite showing the pace of that Lotus. Tony Gaples, what a run for him in the second of the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros.
Yeah, it's interesting here. As we watch Lawson Aschenbach, and one of our awards is the Hard Charger Award, and Heckert, unfortunately, not eligible for it. As we watch Lawson Aschenbach onto the front straight, huge day for your 4-time champion, 4th win on the season, and with Sandberg coming through in third, that points margin is going to compress once again. And in the midst of those two, in terms of the points battle, a tremendous run by Nate Stacey right there in that Folds of Honor Mustang. Great run for him, and there is Sandberg completing your podium. We're going to step away for just a moment as you watch Mr. Heckert and the rest of these great battles finishing up here. When we come back, we'll hear from our winner. And folks, as we take our pause for CBS Sports Network, we're going to wrap things up here on the web. Look at that, a nice move there as Nate Stacey came up alongside Lawson Aschenbach. And I think one said congratulations, and two, Cal, I think to what you said thank you. He just went to school.
He really did, and the boy is really quick in terms of talking about the youngster Nate Stacey. Great performance by him. Aschenbach, you expect performances like this because he's got so much experience, but for that young man in the Mustang to do what he did, maintaining a really tight gap to the leader there and just keeping the car underneath him, that's what I like to see. Not so much the result, but ultimately how the car looked at the end of the race, I think, was the result for him today.
All right, folks, and here is your top 10. Lawson Aschenbach, Nate Stacey, Brett Sandberg completing your podium, Scott Heckert from dead last to 4th, and Jack Roush Jr. complete the top 5. Then Harry Gottsacker in the Ginetta in the 6th spot, Scott Dollarhite, the Lotus in 7th, Gaples in the Camaro in 8th, and Anthony Montella and Martin Barkey, the 2 Mantella Autosport Crossbows, complete your top 10. So that's wrapping up our coverage here of our GTS event from Mid-Ohio, the Mid-Ohio Grand Prix presented by Honda Racing. And as you see the Honda Racing, well, it's a little extra treat here, folks. This is the Acura NSX GT3 that we are looking forward to having in this championship and on a global level, starting in 2017, making its first public appearance, running with the GT division cars for a couple of sessions, and doing a quick, they're calling it a hardship lap, but I think it's also a showcase lap since this event is presented by Honda Racing, an opportunity to showcase Acura and Honda's future in the GT3 ranks. And Peter Cox doing the development driving for this program, just taking this car out and giving it a little bit of a run and a showcase look for the fans here and with us here on our global web feed. So with that, we're going to wrap things up from Mid-Ohio, but do come back because at the end of the day today, starting at about 4:30, we will have the first of the 2 races for the GT, GTA, and GT Cup divisions. So make sure you're back with us here for the call on our global web feed. We'll see you then.